So we have a huge, unacceptable waiting list for the assessment of children as to whether they have autism or any other issue of difficulty. There's an enormous backlog, and it's hugely wrong and totally unfair because it impacts not just on the children's development and families, impacts on their education. We have over 250 children, some waiting 3, 4, 5 years for spinal operations. I mean, we recently had a 22-year-old whose operation was so long delayed that she can never have a health issue fully and adequately addressed. Talking about children out of Ireland, we have a court case only a few months ago now, when a district judge complained that in 2 areas of Dublin, there was no social worker attached to over 230 children at risk. We don't have residential accommodation currently functioning for a number of children the courts have found to be at extreme risk and in need of residential accommodation. But we have to get our moral compass right and ensure that we address these sort of issues.
But isn't part of the problem the failure to reform the way public sector services are delivered so that there are consequences at the senior management level when things don't happen? I mean, like, I'm going to segue in.
Well, I'm not going to absolve the political heads of
I'm not
government
either.
departments from accountability and responsibility, because I've been there and I know the stuff you need to keep an eye on and you need to address and deal with.
But it wasn't just the politicians that made a mess of the Children's Hospital and the jails.
Well, the Children's Hospital saga is beyond bizarre. I mean, we've had the ridiculous waste of money on like the bicycle shed in Leinster House, and then you had the 1.3 million security hut in government buildings. But that pales into significance to what's happened with the Children's Hospital. I was in government when we were talking about.
What was the estimate of what it was going to cost during your period?
The estimate in about 2012 or 2013, I can't be sure which year, was 650 million to build a children's hospital. And I think the ideal opening date was going to be something like 2018. And of course, a lot of it descended into confusion about where it'll be located and where it won't be located. But we've gone from 650 million to quite clearly 2.5 billion. And it's not just the increase in cost, which is extraordinary. It's the appalling planning failures around it. One of the reasons that we all know for this happening was that there were design defects. They kept on redesigning parts of the hospital after they'd contracted to have it built. I mean, there's supposed to have been, I don't know, is it 150 or 200 design changes made during the course of the build? Now, of course, that's going to add to the costs. What oversight was going on to ensure that timeframes were complied with? I mean, we're being told that most of the rooms that have been completed still aren't satisfactorily completed. There's still bits of things that need to be done. Now, remember, this is just the construction of the bricks and mortar. When the builders get off site, this hospital then has to be fully fitted out, and staff have to be recruited. Now, I think we'll be extraordinarily lucky based on the incompetence of oversight, management, planning, for which the government is responsible. If this hospital opens in 2026, I think it'll be little short of a miracle. It may well be that some small parts of it get open, because I think there's probably going to need to be a graduated opening as Crumlin Children's and the other hospital transfer across Temple Street, transfer across into the Children's Hospital. But I very much doubt if this hospital is going to be fully operational until we get into 2027. And it's outrageous. And the level of negligence involved in oversight and the incompetence in the planning of the hospital, ultimately, I believe there's going to have to be a statutory, judicial-led commission of investigation into how this hospital has been planned,